Hello, my name is Dejon Houston. This is for my project for my CIS 2557 class. In this project, we'll take a look at a few of Unix's looping structures. We're going to run through a few examples for basic loops, such as a for list loop, a while loop, and for an until loop. First, let's run through a basic for loop. What we want to do is switch from our current shell, which is going to be our corn shell, into our born again shell. We do this by typing in bash in our command prompt, and then it switches us over to our born again shell. And as you can see, we're now in our born again shell, and our former shell was our corn shell. The corn shell is installed in Unix Linux by default, but we're using a bash for this tutorial because bash allows for a little bit more capabilities than a corn shell does. So first, let's go ahead and run into our for loop. Since it's around December time, it's around Christmas, we're going to do a simple for loop using the Christmas list. Let's go ahead and do for a variable. In this case, our variable is going to be C. In some loop, some list, in our case, our list is going to contain clothes for our Christmas list, shoes, and money. Money is always a good thing to have on a list. It's going to prompt us to do a statement, and we're going to type in do echo. Echo is used to display contents onto the screen. There's Santa will be displayed. Then we're going to skip a line and type for Christmas. I would like, and then type in a $sign plus your variable. This $sign is used to grab the contents of the variable, which in this case is going to be clothes, shoes, and money, and display them out. And then done is used to terminate that loop. So let's go ahead and see what should be done before we go ahead and execute this loop. For variable C, which contains clothes, shoes, and money, do Dear Santa, for Christmas I would like. And it should go inside the loop and see what the first statement is, which is clothes. Then reiterate back into the loop and see shoes and see money. So it should display Dear Santa, for Christmas I would like first. And then go into the loop and display clothes, shoes, and money. So let's execute it and find out. And there we go. It says, Dear Santa, for Christmas I would like clothes, I would like shoes, and I would like money. That's going to be our basic for loop. And for the next loop, we're going to use a while loop. And for a while loop, we want to set a value to a variable before we begin our while loop. Say, for instance, we want to use x for our variable. We will go ahead and set x equal to 1. Enter. No prompt is used to tell you that, yeah, x equals 1. So in order to check and find out, we will type in echo to display, $sign to grab the contents, and then x, which is our variable. So it should show that x is equal to 1, which it does. So let's go ahead and proceed in with our while loop. We type in while, double brackets, $sign, x, and spaces are important for this loop. While x is, we can say less than, LT stands for less than, 10. It's going to get us a statement we want to do, and say we want to add 1. As long as x is less than 10, we want to continuously add 1. We would use an incrementer for that. So we do double parentheses plus our variable plus plus, which is used to add 1 to a variable. And then we want to display the contents of x in a list. So we type in echo $sign, which is used to grab the contents x, and then done. So what should happen would be, as long as x, which right now is 1, is less than 10, which it is, go into loop and do plus 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, so 2 will be the first number. Goes back into the loop and then sees as long as 2 is less than 10, it adds 1 to 2, which is 3, so forth and so on until it gets to 10, and it asks, is 10 less than 10? No, it's not, so 10 should be the final number. Let's go ahead and execute it to find out. And there we go. We got 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 10. So that evidently works, and that's going to be our while loop. For our final loop, we're going to go ahead and take a look at an until loop. Until loop, we're going to do the same way we set the value of our variable in our while loop, which was 1, we want to set a value to our variable in our till loop. So in this case, we're going to use end as our variable, and then n, which in this case stands for no, is going to be its value. Let's make sure that that is correct. Echo end, and it's set to end until spaces are needed as long as well as with the while loop. Spaces are needed for until loop until end equals y over brackets do, and say we want this loop to show us a calendar, and then when you got through seeing the calendar, it'll ask, do you want to stop? And as long as your value equals y, it would stop, and if it doesn't, it continues the loop. So we would type in echo in case you need to know the date. Here is a calendar. Then we'll type the CAL, which is a command that's used to display a calendar of the current month, which is the month of December. Display the calendar, and then we want it to read a statement saying, do you want to close? Yes, Y for yes, N for no. And type in our variable, which is going to be what reads the input, and then type done to end our loop. So it should go and say, in case you need to know the date, here's a calendar. It should display the calendar for December 2009. Then it should ask you, do you want to close? And then you can enter in an interactive mode with a statement, yes or no. If you enter in no, the loop just reiterates until it reaches its termination, which is y. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. In case you need to know the date, here's the calendar, December. Do you want to close? Say I want to keep it open and I want to continue to look at my calendar. It just keeps going and repeats it again, no matter how many times until it reaches its termination, which is y, because our statement says until end equals y, just continuously do the display of the calendar. So y, and it takes us back to our prompt. All right, that's going to be our look into loop structures. This is Dejon Houston for my CIS 2557. Hopefully you guys learned a little something about loops, and thank you. You guys have a great day.